As humans enter the age of avatarism, with 3D scanning as a first step to onboard their journey into the metaverse, our innate need to document and archive one's form, behavior, beliefs, experiences, and wishes will carry us forward into the virtual world of tomorrow. We are moving beyond the selfie into the domain of the Depthy, and beginning to capture our volumetric experience, constructing our virtual embodiment. Our future will defy time and space of corporeal existence. This talk will show, describe and examine the fascinating and irresistible trajectory of this inevitable next phase of human evolution into the VR Metaverse of tomorrow.
This is Greg Panos. So why should we want to scan in 3D? People want to participate in anything new and exciting. Casual 3D scanning and spatial capture is unknown to most people, but fun to experience. Typical social engagement in today's day and age is almost always accompanied with 2D traditional photography-based picture taking, selfies, and group shots. People perceive, understand, and permit the use of smartphone and snapshot digital cameras when they are with others, in public places, and at many private events and gatherings. The evolution of a culture of permission in documenting time and place is depthography's best friend. Being able to capture an event in space-time, a person, place, or object, requires tool selection, technique, discipline, and spontaneity. There are three main components to this task: spatial capture, image capture, and time capture. Let us examine our 3D scanning tool selection for spatial capture. All 3D scanning tools utilize one of 5 different techniques to capture depth data. Some systems use several techniques combined. Structured light. Structured light 3D scanners project either invisible or visible patterns of light onto a scene, while the device's camera records deformation of these lines or dots as they strike surfaces in view to calculate depth information of objects in the scene. Swept laser scanline or servo-controlled laser. Swept laser scanline systems utilize lasers to emit a bright line in 1 or 2 dimensions, while the device's camera records the moving light. The laser line is deformed as it travels along a surface, and the recorded information is analyzed to measure accurate surface topology. Stereophotogrammetry, stereopsis, using 2 lenses. Stereophotogrammetry is based on binocular vision of visible light, where 2 cameras capture slightly different images separately to the left and the right. The resulting image pairs are processed with computer vision algorithms to derive depth information of objects in view of the 2 cameras. Surface contact sampling, using a movable sensor arm. Surface contact sampling, using a movable sensor arm, is a physical point sampling device used to measure depth information from an object, either manually by hand or automated with a robot vision and control system. Multi-point outside-in photogrammetry. One of the most popular techniques to derive 3-dimensional depth information from a scene is with multi-point outside-in or inside-out looking visible light cameras and/or their recorded images to obtain information about physical objects and the environment by interpreting differential variations from image to image and analysis of those images to compute depth information based on those differences. Now let's take a look at portable devices used for 3D scanning. Currently, there are dozens of handheld and smartphone 3D add-on depth sensor scanners and standalone scanners for the professional market available. Intel makes a line of 3D scanners that are adaptable for laptops, desktops, and portable devices. Occipital is another scanner which was popular for the Apple ecosystem, utilized on tablet computers from Apple. Bellis 3D manufactured and sold a 3D scanner and software that could be used with tablets and smartphones. 3D Systems also had a handheld scanner as a companion device to their 3D printing systems. There are many other handheld 3D professional scanners. Some are quite expensive, but very high accuracy, handheld, portable, and easy to use. There are a number of lower-cost scanners in the $200 to $300 range that are designed to work with portable systems. Tablet and smartphone 3D depth sensor scanners are becoming very popular. The Google Tango tablet was one of the first prototype small tablet form factor 3D scanners utilizing a time-of-flight depth sensor. The Asus ZenFone AR smartphone also utilized a 3D time-of-flight depth sensor built to the Tango standard. Apple iPhone X, 11, 12, Pro, Max, and iPad 12 Pro have LiDAR scanners, which are a variant of 3D time-of-flight depth sensor technologies on some of the other devices. Fixed location 3D scanners. Standalone and stationary depth sensor scanners are an important array of the scanning arsenal available to professionals, consumers, and hobbyists wishing to digitize the world around them in 3D. Of note in this photograph are the Matterport Pro, widely used for architectural visualization, the Cyberware 3030, no longer made, which I am pictured being scanned, utilized in many, many movies. Also, the Connect series of affordable consumer-based scanners that can be connected to desktops and portable systems. Volumetric capture areas. Many large volume, fixed location 3D scanning systems have been developed over the years. The LightStage X, currently a research project at Google Research, is one of the more interesting technologies. A spherical volume of cameras, depth sensors, and illuminators capture a large amount of digital information used to compute machine learning models for lighting, relighting, human simulation, and volumetric video. Multi-point camera arrays are used to compute digital photogrammetric models of human subjects. Microsoft launched a commercial venture with their MetaStage studio to capture within a volume multiple actors for volumetric video. Intel Corporation constructed one of the largest capture volumes in the world to experiment with volumetric video with multiple participants. The MUVA contour system is also a very innovative single-person capture solution for super accurate facial volumetric recording. Multi-point imaging, internet 3D scene capture, and handheld or static tripod-based capture solutions also are part of the mix of choices somebody wishing to scan a 3D environment might select. Image capture is another important task in onboarding the real world into the metaverse. Imaging choices are an important component for filling out the reality of a 3D real-world time-space capture scenario. Having a 360 spherical bubble camera and a 3D stereoscopic camera are important components to acquiring what's needed. There are many varieties of 360 spherical bubble and 3D stereoscopic cameras available. Simple two-lens stereoscopic cameras are an important component for reality capture. Spherical cameras are also indispensable as they capture the moment of time when a 3D scan took place in a time and space. Equally important are the 3D scanning apps available to the avid depthographer. Google's dance with their Tango project made use of some of the most exciting early scene capture apps with 3D scanners embedded in the devices. The Matterport Scenes app and the Tango Constructor app were market leaders early on and set the pace for scanning apps to come. RTAB Map and Dot3D are applications that are still operational on many scanning devices today. Apple's inclusion of 3D sensing technology in all of their new products has opened up a Pandora's box of 3D scanning, volumetric video, and augmented reality applications. Here are about a dozen of the offerings available as of today. By next year, there will be many, many dozen. 3D scanning techniques, tips, and tricks. Basic handheld scanning best practices. Scanning patterns. Start the scan and then rapidly begin a pattern. Side to side as you move in one direction, vertically, as you make a full circle. Up and down as you move in one direction horizontally, as you make a full circle. All around the subject, starting 45 degrees off center and moving down slowly in a spiral as you make a full circle. Starting 45 degrees off center, quickly sweep in one horizontal direction. Rapidly stop the scan after completing each pattern. Handheld scanning tips continued. Reference image acquisition scanning. Matterport Scenes allows for snapshot selection during a scan session. This allows for capture of sequential images during scanning, as well as the preservation of waypoints that can be viewed after a scan to see a fascinating animation of the scan path during capture. These images can be used for viewing normally or potentially as data for photogrammetry calculation, possibly as instructions in future automatic cleanup operations using machine learning, cloud-based computation. The scanning app will always create a start and stop image for each session if a user does not choose to make snapshots. Corresponding photographic tasks. Acquiring 360, 3D video, and still imagery at scan time and place. 3D scanning is fascinating and fun, but it can be frustrating for many reasons. And so, the practice of gathering additional media at the time and place of a 3D scan can make the process more familiar and worthwhile no matter the results. That's why I try to remember to bring along a 3D camera and a 360 camera, charged and ready to be used when planning to 3D scan an area or event. As it turns out, if you take additional 360 and 3D photos and video from the exact position of a 3D scanner at the same time, or as near as possible in the time, the material captured can be used to augment the virtual scene that can be created later in the creative processing of the data. Even if the 3D scan data turns out to be suboptimal, the other imagery can fill the void for those that want to have traditional photography memory of the event or place. However, if a 3D scan looks good, it can be amplified by adding the additional media materials into the composition of a realistic, navigable VR experience that can be registered in space and time as true hollow memory. Stationary scanning tips. Automatically scanning a chosen circular area. A handheld scanning device such as a smartphone or tablet with a depth sensor or even a standalone scanning device can be placed on an active stabilization gimbal used in video photography to create more watchable videos requiring stable video during movement. A gimbal stabilizer is attached to a tripod and then paired with a nearby smartphone, tablet, or wireless laptop. The scanning device is attached to the gimbal stabilizer head, which is then calibrated by remote control by the gimbal's app and set up with the desired path, tilt angle, speed, and other valuable directions that are very useful to define an area for the scanner to cover. The secret sauce is to add an app to the scanning device which allows it to be remotely controlled separately from the gimbal's app's controls. The remote app allows the scanner's device to stream scanning application screens and allow the starting and stopping of the scan tasks. This app, used with the gimbal control app, allows for remote control scanning in an extremely stable way to acquire an area defined by the predetermined gimbal path. Handheld scanning tips continued. Magically adding people or objects to a scene. Most scanning applications will allow one to add people or objects to a scanning session during scanning. This is useful if one would like to be included in the final scene data. Usually the person scanning will stop and freeze the scanner position in space. Then a second person who is no longer in view of the scanner will take over the device, while the original person who was scanning steps into a position not yet in view of the device, and the new person scanning covers them, frozen, in the last unscanned area prior to completion. Think of the scanning session as a time machine that begins to register space at the beginning of a scan session, while time is frozen, and finishes at the end of a scanning session when time once again unfreezes. It is similar to early photography where subjects had to remain frozen while the lens was open, but in this case, freezing the camera is like closing the lens and a new subject moves into the scene and the lens is opened again to capture them into the completed image. Metaverse onboarding. I have 3 favorite metaverses: Neos, Sansar, and Hubs. Hubs by the Mozilla Foundation is an open-source virtual reality platform that is designed natively to run on the open internet using typical browsers as well as tight integration with virtual reality hardware. Neos VR is a free-to-play, massively multiplayer online virtual reality metaverse creation platform. It allows users to interact with one another as avatars. It features development tools for players to create games, maps, avatars, and more. Sansar is a social virtual reality platform that enables user-created 3D spaces where people can create and share interactive social experiences such as games, watch parties, conversation, and events in VR. Sansar supports both virtual reality headsets, including the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive, on Windows computers. Each of these platforms allows users the ability to onboard 3D scanning and content, building virtual worlds of the user's design for visitation by other people and navigation using avatars. An exciting opportunity to display 3D scan content has come with the Looking Glass portrait display, just hitting the market now. Here are some quick videos showing its capability. Now let's head over to Sansar to have a look at my 3D scans in the metaverse. Hello everyone and welcome to my Sansar world. Here's where I have a number of my 3D scans. This is my porch. Did a nice little scan. Here I have my breakfast in the morning. And this is a mirror. So look what happens when you scan a mirror. Now this is an interesting project. This is the Alley Cat Art Walk. During COVID, people can't go anywhere, so they made their own artwork themed for cats. And this is my friend Lisa. She was with us that day. I think she was up for the mannequin challenge. So this is by far the most interesting 3D scanning experiment that's ever been done, by me at least. My best friend Richard, his 60th birthday, he performed in front of a bunch of people, all friends up in the Bay Area. Attached a higher detailed 3D scan head of his face, done with the Bellis 3D app on iPhone 10. This is my friend Alan, who's holding up his 360 camera. These are all my friends and family. Richard performed for them. It was just a wonderful, glorious day. A lot of fun. Everybody got to see themselves digitized in 3D up on the big screen. The phone was streaming to the Roku, and they could watch the scanning process. And their instructions were, when I got near them with the scanner, to stay very, very still. I walked around the room, and I got everybody. Here I am. This was fun, interesting tests that we did. So I'm going to walk out of here. I'll show you another demo of this in Neos, which is another metaverse that I really enjoy working with. So this was another group scan that we did. This was at my friend and colleague Jackie Morey's home. And Lisa Masseri over here was giving a lecture on Mort Heilig, the grandfather of VR. who was one of my close friends before he passed away. We had many lectures together in another wonderful room full of VR luminaries. I could name most of these people here. I managed to put myself in the scene. So the way we did this is I scanned everyone, and everybody stayed still when I got near them. I handed the phone to Richard down here. Well, he was still aimed this way with the scanner, and I sat down, and he covered me, and then he finished the scan. So that's how I got added. So this was another fun project and very new for everybody. Let's go over here. So this was a mural painted in Long Beach, where I live. Beautiful piece of artwork of Hedy Lamarr, who was a programmer, a beautiful actress of her time. She worked with the government to help invent frequency hopping, which is used today in almost all radio communications. And this is a forest of avatars. At the Consumer Electronics Show, there was an exhibit. I have an eye for 3D scanning now. Anytime I go anywhere and I see anything visual that would benefit from being digitized and preserved in 3D, I take out my scanner and I plan what I'm going to do. I move around, try to capture everything as best I can and get another look. You can even get up close on some of these characters here. Hello. Go walking around. Hey, Richard, how you doing? So here we're going to go for a little stroll in the local record store. And I was over there. I said, this is a great little spot to scan. So Richard's over here picking out an album. Jean-Michel Jarre, one of my favorite musicians. Head for the Nexus. And Sansar is really one of my favorite metaverses. It's a standalone program. You have to install it on your PC, and you pretty much need a pretty beefy PC to run it with all the beautiful reflections and optical effects that are capable of being rendered. So here we are.
It has...
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
It has fabric ear coverings and fall
Let's go
leather
somewhere
ear
else. I
coverings.
have a few more favorites.
Look, it's a real man.
Hey.
Yeah, real man.
That's
Finally
me.
see a real man in here.
Okay, favorite.
It's a real man.
See ya. Oh. So I'm going to show you this because it's a 3D scanned environment, and somebody used the Matterport scanner to digitize their apartment. They did a beautiful job. So it's pretty easy to author things in Sansar. And I was able to bring a lot of my 3D scanned objects in by turning them into OBJ files. Blender, and my favorite mesh editing software is MeshLab. And there's even a selfie in here that you can see of the camera, the Matterport right here. Love Matterport. So I use the Matterport Scenes app. Have a look at what's on TV. So I'm always on the lookout for spaces that people have used 3D scanners to create content for in the metaverses. Teleport to Zen Garden. All right. Not too sure I want to go there. So this is my home space. I think we all get a chance to be in a home space. All these toys, you can pick them up and play with them. Throw them about the room. A lot to do in Sansar. Let's see what else I have. Apollo 11, a lot of great Burning Man places in here. And my friend Larry Rosenthal built a whole gallery of his art. These are just beautiful places.